you might have to start. Go ahead.
Hey guys, welcome.
Hello! We're just getting set up. Oh, I need to get closer to you. We're going live on Facebook and YouTube, so this will be exciting. Okay. Make sure you might want to hold that in place. Does that get both of us? We might need to get closer together. So today we're going to be talking about the monthly, or how much it cost us to move to Maui. Is that good? Should we move back a little bit?
Maybe. I can't really see the Facebook one.
It's not on yet. It's going. Hello! Hi guys! Hopefully,
Hi guys.
This is really weird because we are live streaming to YouTube Live and to, hi Caitlin, YouTube Live and to Facebook Live, so this is interesting. But anyways, I'm Amy from Rebel Nutrition and the creator of the Monetized Minimalist Facebook group. I know probably most of you guys are watching from there. And this is my husband Eric.
Hey guys, I'm Eric from Chasing Chills and I'm a photographer and adventurer.
So we'll just wait a second or two for everybody to get on. But if you are just joining us right now, tell us in the comments where you're from, and if you could move anywhere in the world right now, where would you move to? Yeah, so if you're just joining us right now, tell us where you would move to if you could move anywhere, and then we'll read those in a second. I'm just curious where you guys would move to. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is super exciting. Thank you guys for joining us. So today, we are going to be talking about exactly how much it cost us to move to Maui a little over 1 year ago, as well as what our monthly expenses look like living as minimalists and what we splurge on, what we wish we had known, and any questions that you guys have at the end. Okay, cool. So yeah, if questions come up during the time while we're talking, just leave them in the comments and then we'll get to them at the end. Okay, so some people are saying Bali. We are not recommending that anyone go out and do what we did necessarily, but I think the reason it worked so well for us, number one, is that we really embraced the minimalist lifestyle and totally accepted the fact that we were going to be okay with living just with the necessities because it was going to help us get to Maui, which was our ultimate goal.
And just embracing whatever came. We had a really open mindset to like whatever came.
Yeah.
Like we were open to living wherever, you know, doing whatever jobs, whatever it took to move here, we were really open. Totally.
And so we'll get into that a little bit more as the live stream goes on. But yeah, I think just having the right mindset about it and being prepared to like I've said many times before, like we sold pretty much everything that we owned before we moved here. So, and lastly, there were parts of it that just, we were very lucky. So we're going to actually how to do that today. Okay, so first we're just going to break down the costs of what it actually costs to move to Maui.
Yeah, so a one-way ticket out here to move to Maui was $400 each, so that was $800 total. Also $400 setting up our tiny house as a rental. If you guys don't know, we have a tiny house, had a tiny house in Colorado. We moved out here, we still have that, and we just lease it out, so there's some costs associated with setting that up as a rental. And then also, not monetary, but we also had to give away our dog. So we tried to find a solution to bring her out here, but unfortunately we couldn't. So that was probably the biggest cost for us.
Yeah, that was definitely the most sad thing we had to do. So just if you do have a pet that you plan to bring with you, just know that there's a very extensive like rabies process they have to go through that's like 6 to 9 months long, and it's pretty expensive. So, or you have to put them in quarantine. So just know that if you plan to bring a pet, you might have to do a lot more planning ahead of time if you want to bring them.
Yep.
Okay. And so costs again, so we actually made a little bit of money when we were moving out here because we sold our car. So we made about $2,000 there. And then for startup costs when we moved out here, it was $1,000 for the first place that it was not even a full month's rent, but it was $1,000 to stay in this one place for like 3 weeks and that was just kind of our initial plan when we moved here, because it's pretty hard if you are living on the mainland and you're trying to move to Hawaii. It's like pretty much impossible to like get an apartment secured while you're on the mainland because
people just don't take you seriously. A lot of people say they're moving out here and they end up not doing it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So it was $1,000 for the first like temporary place we were staying, and then other startup costs. So after that, we're also still paying rent on the tiny house that we own in Colorado, and then the first month's rent of the place that we found here, which is our tiny hut. We didn't want to like give exact numbers for that, but the total for both those places is $1,500. So you can use your imagination there and figure out what we paid for rent on both of them. So that was another cost. We bought my car when we moved out here, and my car was about $1,500. And then we also bought Eric's car, which was about $3,000, but we got a loan for that. So we're not really counting. I mean, that's still something we had to pay for, but it wasn't like we're using it from our savings.
Right.
Okay, other costs.
Yeah, so the other costs we had set up just like a few basic houseware necessities like a George Foreman grill, some dishes, appliances, dressers, just to get, our tiny hut. It pretty much had everything, but just a few things that we needed to get just to get started. But other than that, I mean, we didn't have to buy a mattress. It had a bed in it already. We had to buy a fridge too.
Oh yeah, a fridge was like a must-have for me, and it's so funny because we have this super tiny hut, but our fridge is like massive because I was like, I want to like go to Costco and like bulk shop so that I don't have to be shopping all the time. And I think it was like such a good investment.
Yeah, it was only $100.
It was $100, yeah.
Which it took a lot of looking around, but I mean, you can use Craigslist. Craigslist is really popular here, and a lot of people sell stuff. And we found the fridge on Craigslist for $100, and it works great. I mean, it's been working for over a year now. So.
Yeah. So those were pretty much all our startup costs, and everything we just mentioned for startup costs totaled $4,200. So first month total startup costs was $4,200, including the first month just to move over here cost was $1,200. So our grand total for moving over plus the first month startup cost was $5,400. And a lot of that, so we used, like I said, we didn't have a huge savings. We had a little bit, and so we used a lot of that. And then after that, a lot of what we spent went on a credit card, which I definitely wouldn't recommend, but that's kind of why I talk about now. I have a blog post that I'll share maybe in the comments below about how we paid off $10,000 in debt using minimalism. So the money that did go on a credit card from moving over, a lot of it we were able to pay off using minimalism. So that's why it's like we're so passionate about talking about this, because that was not a smart move, but you can potentially get out of it quickly if you're willing to live minimally. So
honestly, it's better than being in a place that you don't like. I mean,
it's totally worth it.
I would rather do that and then work on really hard and paying that off here than work really hard paying it off or saving somewhere else that we didn't want to be. So
yeah, and I mean, it comes with, I think about, we got more debt for moving over here, but then now a lot of the things that we do like for fun are all free. So it really has its trade-offs. So like when you're somewhere freezing and you have to, like, the only entertainment you can do on the weekends is like go to a movie or go shopping and buy a bunch more shit that you don't need, like you're probably not gonna pay off the debt that you have very fast. So okay, cool. Caitlin says, I love that your house necessities were the George Foreman grill. Yep, that's pretty much how we cook all our food. So it was a necessity. Okay, so now we're gonna, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them and we'll try and like read them while we're going, or we'll go back through and get them all at the end. So right now we're gonna go through like the monthly expenses that we have now living as minimalists. So our monthly rent is still the same for both the tiny house that we own in Colorado and the tiny hut that we live in here. So our monthly rent totals about $1,500 for both.
We don't have to pay internet because we live close enough to the house that we can just use their internet, which is amazing, super lucky.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then no electric or utilities. they actually have solar, so electric is free for them as well, so which is great, and they don't make us pay water, so pretty nice.
Yeah, so that's really nice, and like we obviously got really lucky when it comes to that, but the benefit of Hawaii, which we were talking about before, is that there is a lot of shared housing. So a lot of people move here and like rent a room in a house, and so you're not necessarily going to be responsible for like 100% of the utilities or the electric or the internet or the cable wherever you live. So,
and there's also a lot of not even if it's not shared, it's like ohana, like a family home in the back. It's kind of like a guest home, like our tiny hut. There's a bunch of houses that are in back of houses that people do rent out, so it's even your own space. I mean, it's in their yard, but it's not a shared room in that same house.
Yeah.
So but it still kind of works the same way. You usually can, you know, share the internet or utilities, and it's less expensive.
Yeah.
Just pretty common in Hawaii.
Totally. And then for gas, so okay, good. We're still good, I think. So for gas, my car gets really good gas mileage. It's $20 to fill up when I fill up at Costco. Sorry, trying to read comments and go at the same time. So $20 to fill up every time I go to Costco, and we use my car most of the time. So I'd say total we pay about $60 in gas a month for my car. His car is more expensive to fill up because it's a truck, but he only fills it up like maybe once a month, and it's about $50 to fill up.
We pretty much just drive it to work, and that's it.
Yeah.
We take your car because it has air conditioning.
Yeah, his car doesn't have AC, so we take mine everywhere. Car insurance for both of our cars is about $60 a month. Student loans about $150 a month. Both of our phones are about $150 a month. Business-related expenses for me are less than $100, so benefits of having an online business, very low overhead. Yeah, you wanna?
Yep. So, and then we also savings depends on where we are in the month, but anywhere from like 100 to 500 we usually try to save. Miscellaneous entertainment, $100 if we sometimes we go to a movie, or
sometimes we'll like go out for a fun dinner or like something like that. We don't really do that often because most of the time like we'll do our own thing, like go to the beach and like just grill or, you know, stuff like that for fun. And then, there's like not a lot of nightlife or anything here that really is tempting. So
and then food is about $600 a month. Amy is trying to scale that down, but
it's hard. Food is definitely like kind of our splurge. It's like the one thing that is like, I mean, it is a priority to us, and a lot of what we buy is like fresh, either like meat or eggs or like vegetables and fruit, which is all like pretty expensive. So if you're not like a foodie and you can easily live off of more like cheaper stuff like beans and rice and like cheap stuff like that, that's what I'm trying to like embrace more of to save money. But it's definitely, you could definitely do it a lot cheaper, but my recommendation is definitely to shop at Costco if you are living here, and only shop. So I go to Costco once a week, and I try and make that like my one grocery shopping trip a week. He's laughing because it doesn't always happen. Yeah, you could eat Spam. That would be a good way to eat cheaply here. Okay. So our total monthly expenses now, living minimally, is anywhere from $2,800 to $3,300, and again that varies. The number varies that much because it really just depends on how much extra income we have that we're gonna allot to savings, because we look at savings as like a expense that we don't like compromise on. I guess we're always contributing. So okay, did somebody have a question? Okay, well, I'll just keep going. So, and the next question I got that came up a lot inside the Facebook group was, how did we find our tiny hut? Do you want to answer that?
Sure. So basically, Amy put a post on Facebook, because I don't ever post on Facebook, so it wouldn't to reach anybody. But she put a post on Facebook saying like, we're moving back to Hawaii. Anybody know of any spaces? And that's how we found this place. Is one of her friends said, oh, I know a family that's just renting out their house for a month because they're going to be on vacation. So we were just like, oh great, we'll take it, because like we said before, you know, it's better to move out here and then find a place just because people know that you're serious. So we ended up taking care of their house for, well, it wasn't a month, it was 3 weeks, about
And then it was pretty funny because we were staying in their house and we were kind of stressed, like, oh, now we're gonna go have to find like somewhere else to live. And their house is so beautiful. Obviously you can see like behind us, it's so amazing. And we were like, we don't want to leave. And then we like look into their yard and they have like this little hut. And we're like, can we live in that? And they were like, I don't know if you'd want to live in that, but so they like let us check it out and we're like, no, that's perfect for us. Like we lived in a tiny house in Colorado before, like I said, so it wasn't really that much of a change for us. Yeah. So we're like, cool, let's do it. And then yeah, it's worked out really well ever since then. So another question we got a lot was, how does our rent compare to the average rent in Maui? And it is our rent that we pay for the tiny hut is much, much lower than a lot of what you would find in Maui. But that again is if you're looking on like Craigslist. So, were you gonna?
I was just gonna say, but I mean, yeah, you may have to hunt. I think like if you're looking at like apartments that are like online or big corporations, then it's gonna be a lot higher. But you just need to find like a person, like a family that's trying to rent out their ohana or something like that, and you're able to find a little better deal. Yeah,
and it depends too where you live on the island. Where we live, which is Lahaina, it's like on the west side of the island, is definitely more touristy, so it is a lot more expensive to live over here. Whereas like if you lived up country, which is a little bit cooler, it's like more up on the mountain, most of the places over there are quite a bit less expensive. So I would say on average, and remember too, like we're living in a 120 square foot hut with outdoor like kitchen and outdoor shower. So it makes sense that we're paying a lot less, but a lot of people want like AC and a lot of people want like an actual kitchen and a lot of people want a lanai. So it just kind of whatever you're willing to compromise on. I mean, you're gonna pay for those things if you want it. So yeah. Average rent is higher on the west side, like I said, and it probably starts around $1,500 for a studio on the west side of the island, and then that's for a studio. So, okay. Aaron said, "Are there a lot of huts like yours, and how much is the mortgage rent?" So I said this at the beginning, but our rent for the hut that we live in now, and the mortgage that we pay on our tiny house in Colorado, is total $1,500 for both, and the average studio price on this side of the island is about $1,500. So,
which I don't think there's a whole lot of huts like ours on the island. I think there's a lot more ohanas, which are more houses, like a guest house.
Yeah, ohana is like a guest house that's like separate.
Not like our hut that has like no kitchen, outdoor shower. It's more of a house, but so you're going to end up paying more for that than what we're living in.
But I mean, I don't really know. I don't think, the thing is like our hut would have never been on like Craigslist.
Right.
So the only way that we found it was through like knowing people. So I think the best thing you can do is try and like make connections, ask around, see if anybody knows of anything that they can help you with. That would be my biggest advice. And then in comparison to the other islands, we have never lived on the other islands, so I'm not super sure, but we did a little bit of research, and I think Oahu tends to be about the same or more expensive if you're living in like the big city of Honolulu, whereas like Big Island tends to be a little bit cheaper in terms of rent. We did visit Kauai a couple months ago, and I'm not sure what like the rent is like there, but the price of like living, like food and that kind of stuff, was more expensive than Maui. So, and also like tiny houses are technically here still illegal. So like I think there's a minimum requirement on the amount of square footage that you're allowed to live in. But at the same time, like anything that's illegal in Maui is kind of like, you're not gonna probably get in trouble for it. So I mean, use your best judgment, but
which I think it's only if the main house is smaller than
that. Maybe.
I think you can have other houses. So you couldn't just have a tiny house on land. It has to be above a certain square footage. But if there's main house is a certain square footage, then you can have a tiny hut on the side. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the things that we splurge on. We've already said food is definitely one of those things, and then also the other thing that we splurge on is travel. So you guys may have saw that we went to Europe a couple months ago, and that wasn't something we had planned, but we found really, really good airfare, and so we were like, we're using some of our savings for this because travel is like totally worth it for us. So those I say are the 2 things that we splurge on. Like we don't really ever go shopping.
Camera gear and computer tech gear, things that we actually use.
Things that we use for our business that are tech related. Yeah, like computers, cameras. Now we have quite a few to buy since.
Phone, just got a new phone.
Oh, I did get a new phone only because it stopped working though. Like it was pretty much crapping out. So it's things like that, like things that we need. And then part of what we wanted to kind of talk about, like obviously I think a lot of people could probably look at our situation and be like, oh, you just got lucky. And we're definitely lucky, very lucky to come out here. But I think part of it, like I said before, is like this was our why, this was our main goal, and so we would have done whatever it took to get out here. Yep. We were flexible with whatever jobs we had to do. Like when we first moved out here, I had to get a job that I don't have now. I just do my business, but I was fine to get another job. He's working like multiple jobs right now and does his photography. And so we've just been kind of like willing to do whatever it took to get us out here, and also just trusting. I think we had this mindset before we moved, and when I was really stressed out like about not having a plan, we both just kind of were like trusting in the fact that whatever was meant to be was gonna happen. Like if it was meant to be that we were gonna get out here and find a place to live, then it would happen, and if it wasn't meant to happen, then like it would have been a lot harder, I guess is my point. I don't know.
Yeah, and just knowing, I mean, I always think of like what's the worst that can happen.
Yeah.
And if it's not that bad, then like you should go for it. And like
totally.
I mean, any situation or decision that we've made, like think about like what the worst that can happen. We have to move back, or it's not really that much of a big deal. So I mean, it's just worth it. And usually going in with that positive mindset and saying like this is gonna work out no matter what, like it usually always works out. So
yeah, totally. Cool. So now we're gonna get into kind of like recommendations for anybody who is gonna like make a big move, and then we'll go back through and answer all your guys' questions. So I think we already touched on this before, but if you are planning to move out, we recommend like finding a place that you can, maybe even like an Airbnb that you can book temporarily, so that you actually can physically have a place to stay when you get here, and then once you get here, then you can look for a place to actually rent, because like we said, nobody's really going to take you seriously if you aren't physically here. And same goes for finding a job.
Yep.
So like I think a lot of people like reach out to companies in Hawaii and are like, oh, I'm planning to move there, and they're like, yeah, okay, and then I think a lot of people don't actually do it. So it's kind of scary, but maybe if you can like just move over here and look for a job once you get here.
Unless you have connections.
Yeah, unless you have.
Because you have connections, it helps out, and that's how I got my job over here. Is I knew somebody that knew somebody that was hiring. It was just like, okay, like this guy's serious. He's coming out here. So I mean, if you have a connection, that's probably the best. If not, you're gonna have to move out here first.
And even if you don't think you have a connection, like put it out into the universe, put it on Facebook. Like you probably have a lot of friends that have connections in Hawaii, whether you know it or not. So just try it and see what happens. What else? Oh, another thing that I wish that we kind of would have done when we moved out here is, and I recommend this for anybody who's like making a big move, is if you are planning to like make any big purchases, like I said, it cost us like $5,000 to move out here. We should have put that on like a credit card that was gonna give you like money back. And I'm not like a big fan of putting stuff on credit cards, but if you're able to pay it off quickly anyways, you might as well put it on the credit card and get like the bonus travel miles or the cash back or whatever the bonus is for putting it on there.
Yep.
But pay it off. Only put it on a credit card if you have the cash.
You have the money in the bank account.
Okay. And then the only other like real things that we kind of wish that would have been more helpful if we would have known beforehand is saving up beforehand, like saving up for longer. We kind of made the decision on a whim and just went for it, so we didn't really have much time to save. But obviously if you're more of a planner and you're planning like to move in a year or two, you have a lot of time to like minimize your expenses and save up and bulk up your savings so that you don't have to put anything on a credit card, and you'll probably be a lot more relaxed once you get here.
Which I was relaxed.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of a more of a, I'd rather just do it.
Yeah, but really I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. Okay. And then shipping your car, that can be an expense.
You kind of got to look at it whether your car's paid off, like what's the value of your car. Like if you can make some money selling your car and then coming out here and buying a cheaper car,
Yeah.
just paying cash, I would definitely recommend that, because that's another expense that you're eliminating. Because you can get quite a few cheaper cars are not going to be very stylish or great or luxurious, but nobody really cares out here anyways. So I
Yeah.
mean, if you have a super nice car and you can make some money off it, then I would definitely recommend that. But if you're maybe behind on like the equity on your car and you're going to be losing money, I would definitely recommend shipping out here. And
Yeah, or if you already own it and it's still like running really well, like just ship it over. It costs about, it's like $1,500.
from Colorado, I think
From
we ship
yeah,
the car
from
$1,500.
from Colorado, it's about $1,500 to ship over. So that's a big expense, and we still had car payments on the car that we had in Colorado. So we actually, that's why we decided like, okay, we're gonna sell our car because it's still pretty new and pretty nice, not have to pay for that expense to ship it over. And then my car that we bought outright when we moved here was $1,500. So that was definitely a way better way to go, and it runs just great, and it even has AC. Okay, so I guess maybe we'll go through the Q&A now, but I just wanted to let you guys know too, if you haven't joined the Making a Minimalist Challenge, you can still do it, and we won't all be doing it at the same time, but if you just go to rebelnutrition.com /MAM challenge, you can join, and it'll start from whichever day you join. So, okay, so now we will go through the Q&A. Do you want to go through? I guess I'm just gonna come up here and try and scroll. Excuse my up close and personal face. Okay.
I don't know if there's any questions in here too.
Oh, Thomas says, Eric, did you find your gear?
No, I did not find my gear. It's not looking good. I'm still hopeful, but can you see the comments on here?
No.
Oh,
Shannon says those are Manhattan prices. Yeah, that's crazy. I had no idea how much. Okay, well, it doesn't look like there's many comments in here, but I had some more questions. Oh.
How do you suggest coming across a separate house to rent in the back? I mean, how do you find them? The biggest thing, like we said, is just try to make those connections, reach out on social media to people. They may know somebody that lives in Hawaii that you can connect with. I mean, people are super helpful if you ask. So, I mean, just ask, put it out there, and you'll definitely be able to find a connection out here that can maybe help you.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the other questions I grabbed from the group a couple weeks ago when the question about this whole topic was asked. One of them, which I thought this was funny, is island fever a real thing? What do you think? No.
No.
I mean, I don't.
Not for us,
Not
though.
for us, yeah. I don't really, I know, we just like sat in mud, but yeah, I don't think it's a real thing. I mean, I definitely feel way more trapped like being landlocked in Colorado than I do being surrounded by the ocean, but that's just me. So.
Yeah. Which, granted, I mean, we've taken like quite a few trips. I mean, I guess I don't know how I'd feel. I still don't think I'd feel that way, but I mean,
well, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we leave the island. I went to Alaska, we went to Kauai, we went to Europe. You went back to Colorado, so we've left the island quite a few times in the year that we've lived here. But I still don't feel like that. I'd still be super happy if I just was here the whole year and haven't left.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating actually how many people, like local people, have never left the island. So, I mean, they must not feel it.
There's another question. Why do you decide to move to Maui over other Hawaiian islands? Do you want to take that?
Sure. Maui has, I mean, I've been to Oahu and Kauai, and I haven't been to the Big Island, so I can't speak to that, but Maui has like this crazy energy and magic that like you can only understand if you've been here, and I think that certain people have that connection to Maui more so than others, but we both definitely have it, and that's why. I mean, I've been to the other islands, they're amazing, but I don't know if I'd necessarily want to move there.
Yeah, it feels pretty magical being here.
Yeah.
I would probably live on any other island because I love Hawaii, and just like I absolutely love like adventuring in the landscape and everything about it. But I think Maui definitely is more special to me than the other islands.
For sure. Okay, next question. Is it always humid? Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it gets a lot more humid if it rains, but
it's not bad though. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean,
never...
if you have crazy curly hair, it's kind of sometimes a pain, but that's about it. But it's so much better for your skin though. Like, I feel like my skin here feels so good, and then when I go home to Colorado, it's like I feel like a raisin. Okay. Have locals always been friendly? That was the next question we got.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're always super friendly. We really haven't had any bad experience, well, except for my camera getting
except
stolen.
for his camera getting stolen. That's
honestly,
not very nice, but...
I mean, you honestly don't know if that's like a local or not. That could have been anybody. And could have happened anywhere. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's just really what our attitude is. Like, we're super open and friendly to people, and in return, they're going to be friendly to you. You know, like, even we're shooting a video on the beach, and this guy just came up to us, and he's just like, "What's up, brah?" Like, just like... Yeah, super friendly, like telling us talking story, just...
He gave us like a 30-minute like cultural Hawaiian history lesson. It was just like so cool because we were literally just talking about this same topic, and then that happened. I think it just like, we kind of came here with the mindset, and like, I think hopefully give off like the vibe that like, we're new here. We're not like trying to act like we own the place, or that like we've been here forever, or that we know everything. Like, we want to learn about like the culture and like what people, you know, what is normal here, and you know, all that type of stuff. And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've never, and I don't know if that is also too, because I've heard that Maui is like a lot more friendly in that respect than like, I've heard some of the other islands have like bad problems with like people being mean to like white people that aren't local. But honestly, like, I lived here when I was growing up too, and I've never experienced that, so I can't really speak to it. But is petty crime a problem? Well, apparently it is. I didn't think it was, and I've been way too trusting this whole time that we've lived here. But now, yeah, I guess like getting stuff stolen out of your car is like a huge problem. I guess there's a big drug problem here too. I had no idea, so...
Yeah, we haven't really ran into anything like that, but I mean, I guess now that like I've gotten my backpack stolen, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, this person's got this stolen out of their car, and it seems like a big problem. And I mean, I haven't heard about it until like now people are talking to me about that.
Yeah.
But it seems like people do steal quite a bit out here, so kind of sucks. But also, I mean, same as a big
could
city.
happen anywhere. Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay. So somebody asked, people were asking about like availability of like food, of like good food out here, especially because like I'm a nutritionist. So I mean, obviously I talked about I spend a lot on food. Really good food is pretty widely available. I mean, obviously there's tons of like fresh local fish. There's tons of like health food stores on Maui that have really good, I would say that like probably like vegan type foods are much more common. There's just probably because there's like so much fruit and vegetables like everywhere. But there's like farmers markets, local food all over the place. And then Costco has tons of like any of the same type of food you would find at a Costco on the mainland. So like grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, organic eggs, stuff like that. And you can find like pasture-raised eggs like locally, and so there's tons of good options for foods. Not always the cheapest options, but there are tons of options.
Is your area bikeable? Are there local shops and restaurants that offer any sort of charm?
Bikeable. I don't know what that means.
There's not really any bike paths out here. I mean, there are like some sidewalks. You could ride a bike from our house into Lahaina, but I mean, if you're trying to go across the island, you're not going to be able. I mean, people road bike, but I probably wouldn't recommend it because it's kind of dangerous.
I would honestly, and I wouldn't recommend doing this anywhere else, but I feel like Maui, if you want an easy way to get around, like people hitchhike all the time, and
yeah.
like it's very widely accepted, and it's like not known to be dangerous at all. Like there is petty crime, but honestly, like you're not gonna have any sort of, I mean, I don't know. I think the chances of like getting kidnapped or whatever is like very rare.
Or like murdered.
Yeah. No,
There's not really
I don't
that.
think that really happens.
People steal stuff. But
people
that's
just
about
want your expensive camera gear. That's about it. Okay. Yes, we already mentioned how we found the hut, so just when this is over, it'll stay live in the group, and then you can just watch over from the beginning. What else?
People do use Uber out here. There's not very many of them, and honestly, I don't think it's probably been around for like a year, maybe, out here. So there's probably like, over on this side in Lahaina, there's usually one or two at the most, but you can find Uber.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't recommend like depending on it if it was like a late night, or depending on a ride if you needed something, because it's just, there's not very many of them.
Yeah. Okay, is it hard to find jobs? If you, you want to answer this one?
You can. Either way, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, because I mean, there's definitely a limited reach out here. If you're looking for like a tech job or something like that, odds are you're probably not going to find one out here. But if you're good with like retail or hospitality or working in restaurants, things like that, I mean, there's a million jobs.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, you're probably gonna have to move here first, but like the first job I had that when we moved here, that I quit a couple months ago, but I had never had like restaurant experience really, and I got hired at one of like the nicer restaurants on the island, and I was just like a cocktail server there. But they're pretty, like, if you have a good work ethic and you like know how to write a resume and like interview, you're like 90% more qualified than most of the people here. So you're gonna, like, you definitely get
if
hired.
you're worried, I mean, don't worry about getting a job. It's super easy to get a job, as long as you're okay with working those industries.
Yeah. And like good jobs too. I mean, those, like at a restaurant here, like that's like one of the biggest industries. You can make good money doing that, or bartending too. Yep. Somebody asked about how hard it was to get a Canadian work visa, and I'm not really sure, but I will say that I knew a couple people at the job that I worked at that were from Canada, so I'm assuming that it's not that hard because they all were able to figure it out. So yeah, let's see, I'll go back through. I don't know, Delaney had a good question. I don't know what her question was. Did you see that? Okay, well, if you guys have questions,
Oh, is that it right there?
oh, do you ever feel lonely or have a hard time finding friends? We have a couple friends out here. It's kind of crazy because one of my best friends from high school actually lives out here too. So that's really awesome because it's kind of like I have like a little piece of home out here, and we meet up once in a while, and that's pretty fun. But it is, I mean, it definitely, I would say, is on the harder side to find friends out here.
Yeah. I mean, we have some other friends from Colorado that I worked with that moved out here as well. So, I mean, people from Colorado that we know that moved here are friends. But I mean, and I know, I mean, I've made some other friends on the island. So I mean, but it is hard. But I feel like it's kind of like anywhere. Like once you're our age.
Yeah, once you get to be like adults, it's just kind of, it's weird. I don't know. It's weird. Tell us what you guys think about that. How do you find friends? But yeah, I mean, we've made friends like through where we've worked and that type of thing. But I don't really ever feel lonely, I wouldn't say. And I think it helps a lot that we have each other, obviously. And I mean, when I do, that's the one time like of year that I really feel lonely, is like I want to go home for Christmas. So that's a priority too. Like I like to go to Colorado and see my family for Christmas. And
I'm not the lonely type. When she leaves, I just go take pictures by myself. So
he's not the lonely type. So somebody said, do you guys plan on living in Hawaii forever? It's kind of our, like, this is always going to be our home, I think. We plan to be traveling the world for a while, and not sure when exactly, but we plan to definitely be like doing a lot more exploring, but we always want to come back to Maui because
we feel like this is our home.
Yeah, so this is always our home. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have more questions after we end, just go ahead and leave them in the comments, and then I'll come back through and answer them as best as I can. But thank you guys so much for being on live. This was so much fun. Let us know if you want more live streams like this. And yeah, go join the Making a Minimalist challenge if you haven't yet. It's rebelnutrition.com/MAM challenge. It's a lot of my tips and tricks for how we use minimalism to make the move out here and how we paid off debt. So, and if you're not following Eric on Instagram, go follow him at Chasing Chills. He has really good photos. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.